What's up? What's up? I'm Dr. Omatma, host of Egg Meets Sperm, where we're busting fertility myths, sharing tangible tips for your fertility journey, and bringing you the most knowledgeable guests to support your journey to parenthood. This podcast is for both women and men because getting fertile as fuck is for both partners, don't you think? Remember, just listening to this podcast won't get you pregnant, but following the tips we share just may. Let's get you fertile AF so that you can co-create the family you dream of. And if your partner's not listening to this, make sure to share this episode with your partner. Hello and welcome to Egg Meets Sperm. My guest today is Dr. Heather Rhodes. She is a pharmacist turned holistic practitioner. She runs a practice teaching women how to balance their hormones with ease so that they can step into their fertility more fully. Over 800 women have learned how to hack their hormones for results through her programs. She's a mom of 2 toddlers, ice cream addict, and you guys will turn Taylor Swift at any karaoke bar. That's so fun. Hi, welcome, Heather.
I'm
Nice
so
to have
excited.
you.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. And yes, that's my little known fact is that I think if I was not into medicine and the body and pharmacy, then I would be still pursuing my dreams as Taylor Swift because I would never be her, but my spirit animal is like, I am her.
That's so cool and so cute that you are willing to go online and share that.
Well, that's a lot easier than going online and like pretending to be her like I do at the karaoke bar. So
Now that I would pay to go see.
oh my gosh.
Well, it's so nice to have you here. And your pharmacy background just brings a unique perspective on women's hormones. So I'm curious if we can just start with kind of a general understanding of hormones being supplemented versus like the body producing its own hormones. What's the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I love conversations around this mainly because I think even when going through pharmacy school, it wasn't even made clear to us, in my opinion, that there was a difference in what you're taking hormonally and what your body's making. And so, anytime I can remember my lectures, I still have like a picture of them in my mind of going through women's health. And it was just like, okay, symptoms of high estrogen, symptoms of low estrogen, PCOS, fertility, birth control, Clomid. I think Femera had just come out. Like it was just very much like we just give the body these hormones if it's not making them. Well, the interesting thing that I now know that I like to teach a lot of my clients is really, our body has this system that keeps hormones balanced. And this system works much like a math equation. When something happens on one side of the equal sign, it affects what happens on the other side of the equal sign, right? And so when we are coming in and trying to fix hormone issues, whether it be low estrogen, low progesterone, low testosterone, or high levels of all of the, above, that affects so many other things. And it's because of the way this system works. So if you're noticing that your hormones are off, if you're noticing that you're low in a specific hormone, there's usually 2 reasons. Or let me rephrase that. There's usually one of 2 reasons or both. So in order to make hormones, your body needs a signal from the brain to whatever organ makes that hormone. And then your body needs the ingredients to be able to make the hormone. So if there's a disruption in that system, if your body's having a hard time doing that, we want to go after strengthening the signal and increasing the ingredients. What happens when you supplement instead? We'll take progesterone, for example. A lot of women are low in progesterone. I think this is the women's health epidemic of this century, this decade,
Yeah.
is women walking around with just absolutely plummeted progesterone levels, even though it might be showing up normal in lab test. But
Mhm.
we just know physiologically because of stress and cortisol and adrenals, it's just so hard for women nowadays to have adequate levels of progesterone. So they're walking around with these low levels and then they go to their doctor and maybe the test does show up, hey, things are really low. You would benefit from having more progesterone. I've yet to meet a doctor who says, okay, these are the ways you can boost progesterone production in your body naturally, which should be standard of care. Absolutely. But I know
Yeah.
it's not. Number one, because I went through the pharmacy school training, I
Mhm.
taught at a PA school. Like, I know what the curriculum is teaching, and it's
Mhm.
not to naturally boost your own production. It's, you can take birth control, shut the system down. You could supplement with a progesterone cream. We've even got, I will never, hate on multi-level marketing, but we have some multi-level marketing companies out there that are promoting things that have synthetic progesterone in them, and they're not even telling people there's progesterone in them. And I'm like, you guys,
Wow.
so what happens is when you're utilizing a synthetic hormone, no matter what hormone it is,
Mhm.
what that does is it sends a signal back to the brain that says, oh, we've got enough of this hormone. You don't need to make any more.
Mhm.
So then you down regulate, you decrease the amount of that hormone your body is making. Well, this creates two problems. Number one is you've now worsened what was at the root of why your levels were low. Number two, your body is missing more of this natural hormone, which acts very different than a synthetic. And I said we had two problems, but we really have three, because the third problem is that now you're dependent on the outside source of that hormone
Mhm.
because your body's down regulated the system. It's turned things down. And if you do not have that synthetic or that outside source of that hormone every single day, you're going to feel completely depleted and your body's not going to have the system turned on to
Mhm.
make up for that gap you now have.
Yeah. And I love so much of what you're saying. It's like I could geek out on this all day. So what you're saying is when you have this external source your body didn't produce, you actually shut down the connection between your brain and whatever part is making that hormone, that the brain is no longer sending the signal
Mhm.
because
Because it
it's
thinks it
getting a
doesn't need to.
feedback that it
Yeah,
doesn't need to.
exactly.
um
And
and
here's the
that's yeah,
No, go
go
ahead.
for it, go
I
for
was
it.
going to say, here's the big problem with that is because specifically when we're talking about women's hormones, they do not do the same thing when they're coming from an outside source as the one that your body naturally makes does. So again, if we go back to progesterone, the progesterone your body makes, it has a lot of different roles. It can interact with estrogen, it can interact with your thyroid hormone, it can speed up your metabolism, it increases and change connectivity between hemispheres in your brain. There's so changes your skin, your oil levels in your skin. Like there's so much your body's natural progesterone does. Part of the way it's so effective at doing this is because it can almost dance with your progesterone receptors. So you have these progesterone receptors all over your body, connecting all these different organs. And when your body makes progesterone, it can just float freely. It can hit a receptor, create an effect, and then bounce around. Like it's very loose, it's very free, it can metabolize very quickly. When you use a synthetic, your body responds so differently. That comes in every place that it sees a progesterone receptor, kind of like a parking spot. It pulls in and it locks on. And you have to wait 6, 8, 12 hours until your body metabolizes that to see any change in what that synthetic is doing. And a lot of times that's a little scientifically deep, but the main point of what I'm saying is like, hey, when you take a synthetic, you don't get those benefits. It locks onto those receptors. It doesn't talk to estrogen. It doesn't really help your thyroid. It doesn't help your skin. It doesn't help your brain connectivity. It doesn't speed up your metabolism. It literally just says, oh, here's my parking spot. I'm going to go and plug in here. And you'll get a direct effect from the progesterone being there. So this is why a lot of women, when they utilize a progesterone cream or supplement, at first they feel better. They're like, oh, well, my bleeding stopped, or my PMS was a little better. I was
Mhm.
sleeping a little better. My anxiety improved a little bit. It didn't improve in the full capacity it could because you're not getting that holistic effect that progesterone does.
Mhm.
And over time, typically it's going to be about 6 weeks, your body's going to get used to that. And because the root of your problem is still happening, the symptoms are most likely going to come back. And so, again, we've created this kind of double edged sword where we thought we got temporary relief because we knew the problem was progesterone, but we've actually hurt our body to overcome that problem in a
Mhm.
holistic way because now we're getting some relief. It's temporary. And as soon as we need either more progesterone or we decide, hey, I can't do this anymore. This cream isn't actually working. You're kind of in a worse spot than you started because the
Mhm.
system of strengthening that signal has been turned down and turned off. And
Mhm.
it feels a little doom and gloom. So I also want to tell, anyone listening that if you're in this boat and you've felt this way, there is a way to turn the system back on. There is a
Mhm.
way to make your own natural progesterone again. There is a way to come off of the cream or the pills or the shots, whatever you're doing. Um, but you want to make sure that you're addressing it at the root in a holistic manner versus just kind of band-aiding, even with quote unquote like natural forms of
Mhm.
progesterone.
Yeah, thank you for saying that because I feel like even natural practitioners, a lot of them are like, oh, let's just throw progesterone at this.
Oh my gosh.
And for fertility, I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not the solution. It's really not.
Never.
Like, progesterone deficiency is not the cause of the fertility issue, it's the outcome. It's like
Exactly.
a
Oh,
signal
yes.
of something is out of whack.
Yes,
And you
yes, yes.
can't just
And I
throw
I do
band-aids
like
at the
what you
problem.
said. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, 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 no. Yeah, you're
I was
good.
just going to say what you said too. I do always need to clarify this because I do think there's some confusion here too when people utilize progesterone during pregnancy. So,
Hmm.
typically we see progesterone deficiencies show up, and in the traditional med world, it takes 3 miscarriages before a doctor will look at progesterone as potentially being the cause.
Hmm.
And progesterone's job is to prevent the uterus from contracting. So it's really, really important you're making adequate levels before you conceive, because if, before you get pregnant, we see your body's having a hard time making enough progesterone. The progesterone your body's making is what's responsible for preventing the uterus from contracting through the first trimester. And so, what we want to make sure is that you're making enough to last that first trimester so the uterus doesn't start contracting. Well, a
Yeah.
lot of times in the traditional med world, IVF, IUI, the doctors will recognize, hey, you're having a problem making progesterone or you're having recurrent miscarriages. So, we want to make sure your body has progesterone through the first trimester. So, they will typically supplement with suppositories or orals or progesterone and oil shots. If this is the case, I don't know where you stand on this. I just like to clarify it for my clients that, like, if you are pregnant and you're using progesterone, very different story than what I'm
Yeah.
describing. Don't
Yes.
stop your
Please
supplementations.
don't
Don't
stop
stop
your
your, like,
supplements.
yeah, you need it if you are
Yeah.
already pregnant.
Yeah.
What I think is important is if you are not pregnant yet and you're trying to conceive and you're looking at your fertility and you know your progesterone is low, you can do something about it. You can correct those levels and you can do it prior to conceiving again. And I think that's really important too for our women that have miscarriages. Any miscarriage in the first trimester, I think I start thinking about progesterone.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of times they are really scared to get pregnant again
Mhm.
because of how traumatic that loss is. And it is, it's a loss of an actual life. And I think
Mhm.
that sometimes in the traditional med world gets, shuffled into
Yeah.
different terms. Um, but you can look at your progesterone production, looking at your BBTs, looking at your luteal phase, and see, hey, is my body giving me evidence that it's doing its thing, that the
Mhm.
imbalance has been corrected, that it's good. Like I can't say we can ever be 100% sure, but you can definitely have more hope and more confidence and feel safer getting pregnant when you see that your body's made a change in up regulating those hormone levels because of healing what was at the root.
Mhm. Yeah, I 100% agree with all of this. It's
Yeah.
it is very different being pregnant and given progesterone to sustain a pregnancy if it's needed, if and when it's needed. And it's a completely different thing when you're trying to conceive. Maybe you've even had a pregnancy loss. Even then, I think potentially one of the reasons for pregnancy loss is low progesterone.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it still behooves us to go and check, do testing,
Yeah.
get a better understanding of could that be the reason? And instead of jumping to, okay, just get pregnant again and we'll just supplement your progesterone this time, instead of that, taking a month or two to like build your own levels
Yeah.
so that you don't have that issue when you are pregnant again. Not that there's anything wrong in supplementing, but it gives us, and I'm not trying to speak for you, but
No,
at
you're
least
good.
for me, I feel like it gives us a sense of like we've done the work under the surface. And then great if the body's like in a new place and you don't need it, awesome. But if you need
Yeah,
it, hey, no shame in it. Whatever. It's okay.
absolutely.
But
Yes,
we're at least
absolutely.
going in more prepared.
And I think a big thing too is looking at what I see. So again, looking at why progesterone levels are low. So I'm a huge proponent of basal body temp tracking. I think if you're trying to conceive and you are not looking at your body temps, you are missing so much free information. Like we want to go to the doctor, we want to get all our levels tested, we want to make sure everything's okay. This was a huge part of my own story and journey of infertility. And never once did I just assume that tracking basal body temps was just too much work. And like I couldn't do it perfectly and I wasn't going to wake up at the same time on the weekends and so I just couldn't do it. Um and man, what I know now if I could go back because what I can see a lot of times is almost every time my women have low progesterone and we're seeing short luteal phases, I can look at a basal body temp chart and I can see, okay, well, your estrogen is wrecking the show. And I can usually see their body temps are super low. And that's a huge indication that your metabolism just is not where it needs to be. And so,
Mhm,
even if you did conceive and you were able to carry to term, you have a slower metabolism at that point. So your postpartum, your body's going to reset and most of the time postpartum, we aren't given the tools we need to reset in the right way. So I start
mhm,
thinking about, oh my goodness, like you're going to have such a struggle during your postpartum because your metabolism is already slow. It's taken this hit. And so just like what you were saying, when we can come in and say like, hey, let's put the pieces in place. Let's make sure this system works really well. Let's make sure your metabolism is sped up. That's going to help you during pregnancy. That's going to help the baby and the baby's health and the baby's nutrients and vitamin and mineral storage. And that's going to help you postpartum. So sometimes it's actually this really like unique and almost like beautiful blessing in disguise when you start with low progesterone and we find it really early in a fertility journey because we can set you up to prevent so many other things that I also have women come to me after their third and fourth pregnancy and they've been
mhm,
low progesterone and supplemented all four pregnancies and been low the whole time and they have
mhm,
a lot of hormonal issues entering into their late 30s
mhm.
and I'm like, oh man, this is because this has been happening for so long and we
Right.
just haven't gotten able like you band-aided your way into a result you wanted, but
Mhm.
the root problem is still showing up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like our body is gonna keep giving a signal
It'll get
until that
louder.
it's gonna continue getting louder.
Absolutely.
And as you were saying this, I'm like 3 or 4 babies, like God bless them. Like most of the time, I feel like women can maybe band-aid through the first pregnancy, but
Mhm.
by the time they're trying to get pregnant again, like that's not gonna
You're
happen.
so right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you are so right. I see a lot of women struggle with that second. They started out low, they made it through their first pregnancy, and then the second fertility issues kind of pop up.
Yeah.
And usually it's again because progesterone took a double whammy
Hmm.
when it so what happens, once you get pregnant is that the placenta starts making progesterone for you
Hmm. Hmm.
and then you deliver. And again, nobody teaches you how do you help your body make more progesterone after you've lost. I mean, your body literally goes through the equivalent of a train wreck when you deliver on top
Because
of
all of a sudden you
yeah,
don't have any progesterone in your system.
and you were
So
used
this
to
whole time you
sky
were
high
like,
levels.
yeah,
Yeah.
you were like, oh, I feel amazing when I'm
Yes.
pregnant.
Yes. I
And
think of
yeah,
it
it's
like you're
because
swimming in a swimming pool and then you literally like go underwater and you stand up and turn around and somebody's drained all the water out. And you're like, "Wait, what do I do? Like where am I?"
yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and I think that's a huge issue too with like postpartum health because I think that's like the first thing, you know, you should be taught postpartum is how do you help your body replenish and restore? How do you help your body cope with, you know, this transition? And the thing is, when your metabolism is working right, when your hormone balancing system is working right and it's turned on well, then you have a lot of compensatory, I don't know if that's a word, you have a lot of different things that the body compensates for that change to help you make that transition easier. If you went into the pregnancy depleted, if you went into the pregnancy without that system working really well, and
Hmm.
potentially you did use supplementation or you had some outside interventions to get pregnant, then you are at a greater need because your body doesn't have necessarily those compensation pieces turned on and working potentially. Not all
Mhm.
of the time. Sometimes the body's super resilient and just figures it out. But a lot of times I see women who started with fertility issues struggle so much more, which I think is why we see that secondary infertility
Mhm.
show up a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like hormones, your hormone balancing system, your nutrient status, and then add to it you have a baby that's crying all the time and lack of
Sleep.
sleep and stress and adapting to motherhood and all of that like of course we're
Yeah.
wrecked.
Yeah,
Like yeah, this is
absolutely.
it, like you don't need I think someone said to me yesterday, like, I'm 2 years postpartum. Why is my body still not recovered? And I'm like, dude, it's okay. Like, it's okay for us not to bounce back.
Yeah. Well, and
And it's important to recognize that if you're not doing anything to bounce back, you may need support.
yes, yes. I so agree with that because I think too, I mean, studies show us that it takes 2 years for your body to physically restore postpartum. And so even the idea that everything would be changed in less than 2 years is a little bit far-fetched. But the idea that it can happen faster without the tools in place, because in 2023 you are not being given these tools unless you're working with URI. But um, it's so rare because women just aren't given what they need.
Yeah.
They aren't told, how do you get these things working? How do you increase this signal? What are the ingredients your body specifically needs? And actually, culture, society, kind of the norm in 2023 is to do a lot of things that are you're told are right, are healthy, are hormone balancing, and they most likely are creating a severe deficiency in your
Yeah.
hormone levels and your
Yeah,
metabolism.
absolutely. And I'm like, from the sound of it, it sounds like you're talking about very specific things. So, dare I ask what those things are?
Yeah, I mean, well, and I think a lot this is also kind of very similar, whether even in the preconception phase, right? Of you go to your doctor, it's clear something's off, and the recommendation is, well, you could probably do keto, you could probably do intermittent fasting to lose some weight. If the weight changed, then your fertility would restore. I can't even like you're watching my face right now because you can see me like blowing up about this because
Yeah,
it's
well,
just
in my
simply
head, I'm like,
wrong.
ding, 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 right answer, right answer.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. Oh my
yes,
gosh. And
these
it's
are the two I would say are the highest
Mhm.
misconceptions around what's okay to do for hormone balance is ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And intermittent fasting can be done in a way that's non-hormone affecting, but most of the time people are not doing it that way.
And here's the thing about both of those too. It's really interesting because there is, even the reason the doctors recommend it, the reason it has so much popularity is people are always like the research, the research, the
Mhm,
research, the research.
mhm,
So
mhm.
my degree is in clinical research prior to going to pharmacy school. And what's interesting about research is number one, with the right amount of money, you can always make research show what you want it to show.
Yeah.
And then number two is that you've got to look at the patient population of the studies. When we
Mhm,
look at these studies, the patient populations are almost 85% male. Well, when men start fasting, when men start going into ketosis, it
mhm.
boosts their testosterone levels, which makes their fertility improve.
Yeah.
The body starts thinking, like, we got to replant our seed. Things are stressful around here. We need more lean muscle,
Yeah.
etc. Women have the exact opposite effect.
Mhm,
It decreases. Your
mhm,
body thinks, oh, wow, we're not safe, we're vulnerable. We need to
mhm.
go like hide and hold on to nutrients and let the men fight this battle, right? That's really what your body starts thinking. And the
Yeah.
other thing is the 15% of women that are included in these trials, especially when it comes to fitness and exercise science, they have to be on birth control to be included in the study because female hormones
Mm.
disrupt. They're different. They're changing. They're different for
Mhm.
everybody. They can contribute to a lot of different things. And so
Right.
it's really rare that you find a clinical study that is done on exercise and science physiology and dieting and nutrition where you've got a female population that number one is already slow metabolically and hormonally imbalanced. and then you put them on one of these diets and they see the same results. It doesn't
Right.
happen. The
It
reason it
doesn't
doesn't happen
happen.
is because nobody would pay for that study, because they know there's already something going on here.
Right.
So
And
if
and like they also know that it's going to be really hard to track because hormones are fluctuating all the time. So
exactly.
there's no way to control the hormones.
Yep.
If
Yep.
you don't have birth control, sorry, like we
Yeah.
don't know what the hell is going on. And we don't
Yeah.
know if what we're doing is shifting the hormones. Like most
Exactly.
of these researchers have no clue what to do with cycling women.
Exactly. And so that's where I think it gets really confusing as a cycling woman, because you're seeing people have results. You're
Hmm.
seeing the, advertisements of this is research based, this is study, you're
Hmm.
hearing your doctor recommend it for you.
Hmm.
And you're not, you try it and you feel worse and you don't see
Right.
those results and
Or
your metabolism.
temporarily,
Yeah.
what sometimes is happening is like temporarily you feel better, right? Like
Yeah.
especially I'm thinking of like the bunch of women that do keto diets and they're like, "But I lost 20 pounds. Like I'm doing amazing." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, in order to lose those 20 pounds, your body totally wigged out.
Yeah.
And now
And it
your hormones are a
probably
wreck."
shut down your fertility system,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
to
Because
lose
in
weight. Yeah.
yeah,
Girl. Yes.
no, like
Um,
we're so on it. I
yes,
think
yes,
like
yes, yes.
yeah,
So
you
I
lost
see
all
this.
this weight and now your body's in survival mode. And
Mhm.
survival mode is never going to lead to fertility.
No. And so there's two things I think are important here just to mention that I always am encouraging my girls to remember. The first is that I find that, and we have studies to show us that there is a sweet spot in body fat percentage when it comes to fertility. But I find that most of my clients need a couple extra pounds than they want for us to see their fertility levels and hormones really pick up. I've also seen a lot of clients, they're kind of two different clients I'm talking about. I have one kind of client profile I see a lot where they come in a little bit overweight. The doctors have told them you need to lose weight for us to be able to, talk about
Mhm.
interventions. And if you lost 5%, your fertility would improve, all of this stuff. And so the reason they're overweight is usually because their metabolism is completely shot. So then
Mhm.
they start applying all of these weight loss attempts to get pregnant, and it's actually destroying their fertility at the same time. But that's
Mhm.
a really like hard mind game, because your doctor's telling you like to lose the weight, you have to, or to get pregnant, you have to lose the weight. But then they're actually destroying their hormones trying to lose the weight and their fertility. So I have I've worked with a couple clients, and it's really interesting when we do this, because there's also that fear of like, well, if I gain any weight right now and then I get pregnant, like I'm just going to be so overweight, it's going to be such a problem, like whatever. And I always tell them, like, listen, if you can just work with your body and trust that the weight will do what it needs to do, like just table it, take the weight completely off the table. And let's just look at how your body's functioning. Let's look at these other markers. Let's focus on how you feel. Your body will re-regulate the weight the way it needs to. And I've had a couple clients we've done this with, and they were terrified to get pregnant without losing weight. They ended up getting pregnant, and both of them, their body did not, they had perfectly healthy pregnancies, and their body didn't gain the traditional, 25, 50 pounds, whatever
Mhm.
was right. It gained way less, but they had great healthy pregnancies. And it's because their body gained that weight it needed prior to them getting pregnant, and it knew it. It didn't
Mhm.
need to gain the extra once the baby
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's really this beautiful thing to just dive deeper and open up this idea of, can your body do what it needs to do when it has what it needs, and can we just take weight off the table for a little bit,
Mhm.
especially when the goal is fertility. And usually when you do that, that's actually when I see people start to lose the weight, because they're doing what their body needs
Yeah.
without gripping it so tightly, without crashing their metabolism, without destroying their fertility hormones and plummeting their progesterone.
Yep. This is exactly like same. I would echo everything that you said because the number of times that women are like, "Oh, I just lost like 10 pounds and I wasn't even focused on it," is really high, right? Like I we don't focus on weight loss either. A lot of people are like, "Oh, my doctor said if I just lose." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great. And we're gonna work on this stuff."
Yep, yep. And I think it's
And
because we both know that weight is not a diagnosis. weight
Like,
is a symptom of something underlying.
right.
So
Yeah,
if the reason you're gaining weight or you've gained weight is because your metabolism's slow or because your blood sugar is out of balance or because there's too much
exactly.
inflammation,
Right.
whatever we do to restore your fertility is going to address those things. So the
Mhm.
weight's going to change the way the body needs the weight to change.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly. I love it. I feel like we could talk for hours.
I think so.
Before we end today, I definitely want to get into like what are some natural things that are going to help the body build its own progesterone?
Yeah, that's so good. So I always take us back to those two things the body needs to make more progesterone, the signal and the ingredients. And so
Mhm.
one thing I look at a lot is the concept of stress hormones. So everybody knows when you're trying to get pregnant, the doctors tell you, well, just don't stress about it. Well,
Just
just stress.
relax.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there is a level to that in that when the body can decrease stress hormone production, you can see an increase in progesterone. And that can help with fertility because progesterone will naturally speed up the metabolism. It will naturally shift estrogen back into balance. And then obviously it can, hold the kind of just increase fertility hormones in general because you get this cascading effect of all of your other hormone production ramping up. But the reason most women have low progesterone is because their stress hormones are too high. And it doesn't mean like you're thinking, like your mindset stress. I'm thinking about like the actual stress signals your body's getting day in and day out. And
Mhm.
so when I start thinking like, okay, how do we boost your progesterone levels? I first want to see where's your metabolism at and where your progesterone levels at. I do this with basal body temping. It's free. It's an easy first step. Then I want to look at, okay, do we
Wait,
need,
wait. Can I slow us down for a
yeah.
second? What would you see? What are you looking for on basal body temperature?
Yes. So the first thing I look for is the temps overall.
Hmm.
Are we getting evidence that metabolism is out of conservation mode? Because your
Hmm.
metabolism really exists in two modes. It's either conserving energy, where it doesn't feel safe to release a whole lot. So we
Hmm.
see that temps go down. We
Hmm.
see temps hanging out in like the 96s and low 97s. We don't
Hmm.
see your temps getting up to the 98s. That's a
Hmm.
really clear sign that your metabolism is working slowly.
Hmm.
And the cool thing is that metabolism's like number one job is to heat the body. So when the metabolism starts getting what it needs, when we start fueling the system, we can watch. I watch my clients' basal body temps actually like shift all the way up the chart.
Hmm.
Where, okay, cool, month 3, you're in the 97s, you're hitting the 98s. Perfect.
Hmm.
Um, the next thing I look for is luteal phase length. So the time
Hmm.
from when you ovulate until when your period starts. Again, in my programs, like I love watching my clients within 3 months. We're going from 9 to 15 to 16 days. Like it's beautiful to watch that happen. But that's evidence that the body is making more progesterone. That progesterone just simply showing up will increase temps because it's speeding up the metabolism. And it will also start shifting us out of estrogen dominance. And estrogen
Hmm.
dominance can be a big problem when it comes to fertility. Not only it's kind of a catch 22, which but like, especially in our girls with PCOS, like they just simply are not making enough progesterone at all because they're having estrogen for, 15, 20, 30, I say 15, 20, 25, 30 days out of the month.
Hmm.
And we really want to restore that balance. So just having the progesterone there will help to shift that. So that's kind of the first thing that I like to start looking at. I'll also see sometimes on basal body temps what's happening in the luteal phase with temps because progesterone should be keeping those temps up. But if you are having a hard time breaking down and detoxing estrogen, then I can see when estrogen takes its secondary peak, I can see estrogen start having a more pronounced effect during luteal phase and
Hmm.
temps start shifting down. So I really like to work on correcting that too. Um, so that's kind of the first thing. And then that directs what I like to do next. So if I see like, hey, we're low progesterone and temps are low, then I'm like, all right, let's start supporting the metabolism. Let's look at, are there mineral deficiencies? Are you eating enough overall? Are we eating in a way that's keeping blood sugar stable? What does our nutrient density look like? So that's
Hmm.
a big misconception in fertility. People think they need to be eating super clean and all greens and nuts and all of these things. And while yes, those things can be helpful, we want to know where your metabolism is at because if your metabolism is slow and you're eating salads and nuts all day, then like we're not going to speed that baby up. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll look at that a little bit. And then the next piece really are those stress signals. So I like to look at my client's day and say, like, all right, where is your body getting a signal that it should be stressed, and where is your body getting a signal that it needs to conserve energy? And so we'll look at, a lot of clients, it's physical things, not just mental. So a lot of
Mhm.
them, they're not eating until 11, or they've been trying to fast, or they're not eating enough, or they're, eating a bunch of things that make the body work really hard. And so the body's doing a lot of work all the time and it can't speed up what it needs. I see a ton of mineral deficiencies. I just feel like mineral deficiencies is huge right now, mainly because of our food sourcing. Our food just doesn't have the minerals in it that it used to. And so
Yeah.
you could still be eating quote unquote clean and healthy and even fertility friendly, and your
Mhm.
body still be missing the minerals, the zinc, the magnesium, the calcium that actually fuel each of your little tiny cells to go and do their job.
Mhm.
So those are some of the first places that I like to start. And then I teach my clients too this really fun thing, because we know the body creates patterns. And so I like to hack that system of, hey, if you give your body a signal like 3 times a day to lower stress hormones, the body's actually going to start picking up on that pattern, and it's going to start lowering stress hormones on its own. And it's not going to make as many stress hormones as it thinks it should, because it's going to say, like, oh, well, she's going to make us lower these in like 15 minutes anyway. So why are we going to spike them? Right. The body's really smart like that. And if we can hack the system a little bit, we
Mm.
get to be really smart like that. And
Yeah.
we can actually tell the body to calm down those stress signals. When the stress hormones lower, progesterone increases.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and that's
And
good
what
too, because progesterone lowers stress hormones in response. It's this nice
Right.
little
Yeah,
circle.
it's a nice little feedback loop to get into.
Yes.
What do you what when you say like lower the stress signals
Mhm.
or hack the system to lower stress signals,
Yeah,
what
like what
are
are
you
the things
thinking?
I
Yeah.
teach?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like to do some easy ones. Sometimes it's deep breathing, sometimes it's like vibrational patterns with your
Mm.
voice, sometimes it's postural. So, like, one that I teach a lot is legs up the wall. So, just like scooting your booty up against the wall and throwing your legs up while doing some deep breathing, just for like
Mhm.
7 minutes. The reason that's intentionally lowers stress signals is because, number one, it's a vulnerable position. The body is like, well, if there was a threat around here, she probably wouldn't be throwing her legs up in the air. The second one
Oh,
is
that's
that,
cool. I've never thought of it that
yeah,
way.
yeah,
That's
the body,
really cool.
I mean, it's always picking up, like, how safe are you? That's all the
Right.
body's asking every
Right.
single day.
Right.
And so, I mean, even things, that's why laughing,
Mhm.
playing, these are all healing things to your actual cells. Um, one of the best ones is orgasms. That
Mhm.
nothing tells your body,
Makes
nothing
sense.
lowers stress hormones, cortisol. We've done studies to show that cortisol levels, the thing that plummets them the most and the fastest is an orgasm. So that's great for our fertility clients.
Mhm.
Um, but so
Mhm.
even something like that postural position, when you have an inversion of blood flow, when you're in a vulnerable position, like body posture wise, the
Mhm.
baroreceptors, so the things in your body that kind of pick up how you're posturally sitting, can actually send feedback to the brain that says, like, she's safe. So it
Mhm.
it feels like, oh, okay, we can relax. It can turn on our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of fight or flight. I also
Mhm.
like to teach my clients how to get out of fight or flight. So I think a lot of us go into fight or flight, and we know that, whether it be from exercise or yelling at somebody in traffic or our kids, driving us crazy. Like, we can into or our husbands driving us crazy. Um, we can go into fight or flight so easy. And then we just kind of like wait for the feeling to go away. But you can actually get your body out of fight or flight, and you need to turn that off, because the body, once it goes into fight or flight, it thinks there's a threat. It thinks it's not safe. It's constantly trying to figure out, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Until you tell it, you're safe. There's not a threat. And sometimes you can even just say that out loud. Like, I'm
Mhm.
telling, our words hold vibrations and energy. But a lot of times it looks like deep breathing, a position like that, speaking out your feelings. So
Mhm.
feelings can put us in fight or flight, and we try to like shove down and hold feelings. This is why crying is actually therapeutic, like crying, laughing, like actually letting emotions out will
Mhm.
turn down stress signals. So
Mm.
there's a lot, and a lot of times my clients just need different ones, and so I'll kind of just look at their day to day and like pick up, like, I think this
Yeah.
is going to be
What
the
do they
most
need?
effective for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
love that.
yeah, yeah,
I
in
love that.
2020 I actually created, we all needed it, but I created a whole course on lowering stress signals and stress hormones, because again, it was like the pandemic in the pandemic. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, listen, guys, like you have to know how to do this so that you don't go crazy while we're all stuck inside.
Yeah. Yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing all of your wisdom.
Absolutely.
I love your approach. I love the way that you've thought about things. It's like it's very much in alignment with how I go about things
I love
also.
that.
And where can people find you?
Yeah. So I hang out the most over on Instagram, just at Dr. Heather Rhodes. We have a website that's linked there as well. But I would say come over to Instagram, shoot me a message. I live in those messages. Join our email list because I do weekly coaching calls, like free pop-up coaching calls. We tackle all different types of topics. And then we'll put out webinars and stuff. So I would say hang out with us over there.
Mhm.
And then that's also where once you shoot us a message or if you come over there, we usually reach out to you and just say like, hey, we're so glad you're here. We can talk about, is there a resource we have that's going to be helpful or a good fit for you or not? Where are you at?
Mhm.
What's your journey look like? And also just helping to connect the dots because my biggest goal isn't always that somebody come and just, hang out with me and go through all of my programs. It's that you have answers you need because I've been through my own journey where I didn't have answers I needed. And I just think that's like the most important thing someone can get from the community we want to create.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. So good. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I can't wait to hear all of your amazing tips for the rest of the week. So for those of you that are listening in, just know to tune back in for all of Dr. Heather's amazing tips, and we will see you soon. Was that an amazing episode or what? Make sure to check our show notes so that you can link up with our guests. And if you're not a part of our secret Fertile AF community, you can join for free via the link in our show notes. Last but not least, have you showed us some love lately? It would mean the world to us if you could share and review our podcast. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time on Egg Meets Sperm. Peace.